was born, I actually filmed him when he was born. As his feet touched the ground, he went out of the den into the heat. I brought him back, gave him to his mother, and then he just walked out of the den again. And then I crawled back, chuffing him, and he crawled back next to me, actually talking to me. So I've been with this tiger from the very first day he was born. But as he grew up, he was born wild, raised wild, and he had an area. But in those floods of 2011, his area was washed away. The fence was completely washed away. So now he was in with the big male, who you haven't seen yet, Shaito. And Shaito would have killed him. So I pulled him into this boma. He was actually in this boma here. And we were scanning Julie to see if she was pregnant. So we were working in here. I had a National Geographic film crew. And it was raining and the wind was blowing quite hard. So, and Corbett had been walking around like he is now, walking around the fence. Okay? So we finished the job and we came out. There were 3 jeeps. We came out and we stopped over here. And all I had to do was close this gate. Now to close this gate, I had to open that gate slightly. And then close that gate, drop the pin in, and then close that gate and drop the pin in. So I couldn't see Corbett. I was looking all around for him. And so I stayed away from the gate. I fixed my camera and then I came back, walked back here, 20 meters. And I went there and I saw what I thought was Corbett on those rocks there. Okay? And so, because he was far away, I then turned my back and dropped the pin into the gate here. But Corbett was in fact behind the little bush there. And that was his sister that I saw. So that's a mistake that I made. Okay? I thought that was Corbett, but it was in fact his sister. And up on the rocks, it looked like a big male to me. And the light was low. And the wind was blowing. So I dropped the pin and I stepped away 1 meter from this gate. I was already walking back to the jeep. And he came like lightning from there on the pad silently. And you see the gate here is electrified. That was all carrying an electric, 7,000 volts were running through those wires. And he shoved the wire. There was no mesh on it, the mesh I've put since. He shoved his paw through the electric wires, shorted the wires, and the dew claw just caught me on the hip. And then with the force, I spun back and I hit the gate there and broke 2 ribs and a piece of my spine. Standing by, Jos?
Nee, nou bij elkaar. Ik moet kijken wat ik kan afnemen.
Standing by, Jos?
Sorry.
Standing by, Jos?
Tiger boy here in the coffee and the river near the eastern fence.
Okay, thank you. I'll come to your position. Yeah, so as I spun back, now he'd made a big hole here where he'd gone through with the paw. He'd shorted the wires and there was a big hole in the fence there. And I fell with my feet inside the boma and my head outside the boma.
Yes.
So then he put his paw through. I had a big army jacket on. He put his claws through and through the army jacket, and he put his claws into my back and he turned me over in a somersault. I was unconscious. I was knocked out. So now my head was inside and my feet were outside. Then he grabbed me by the neck, and again I had a double collar on the jacket, and his teeth went through my neck, but they only went this far into my neck.
Yes.
If they'd gone further, they would have broken my neck. Then one of the girls from the film crew ran, grabbed my neck, and he was trying to pull me through. And she grabbed my legs. The second girl tried to get to my gun, but she couldn't get to the gun. So she grabbed the legs, but the tiger was pulling them both into the boma. And he could have come through the hole in the fence and killed them as well. And then the one cameraman froze, the other cameraman grabbed a stick out of my Jeep and he hit the tiger three times over the head. And it went back just where the other tiger is lying in the grass, even not as far as that. And he was snarling in there. And as he reared back, they just shouted, "Run." I managed to get to my Jeep, get onto my feet and run to the Jeep here. In 5.5 hours to get to Mediclinic in
Bloem.
Bloemfontein, the ambulances got lost. Then I took a 6-hour operation, which they gave me 10% chance of surviving. And that finished at 5:30 in the morning. I got to Mediclinic just before midnight. And then 5 weeks in hospital, got out, and they told me it would take a year to recover. And they told me that it would take a year to recover and that I would need 11 skin grafts.
Yo.
But I never took any skin grafts, and I was out of there in 6 weeks, and I was driving Jeeps 2 weeks later.
Yes.
I was very lucky because the one rib went through into my lung, the one broken rib. Yeah.